Much of the American media isn't talking about the strike, just like they've stopped talking about the hostages being held by Hamas in Gaza. Take, for example, ABC News this week, which spent nearly 13 minutes covering the story to lead off their show, their premiere Sunday news show. Just listen to how many times the word hostages came up versus the word humanitarian.
Doing hostages on a hostage deal.
Return of all the hostages.
A humanitarian crisis.
Humanitarian crisis.
Humanitarian assistance. For humanitarian assistance. International humanitarian law. Humanitarian assistance. Humanitarian aid. Humanitarian assistance. A humanitarian catastrophe. In the humanitarian disaster.
Videos of the rubble and refugees in Gaza are part of the reason we're seeing increased criticism of the Israeli military. But for some reason, we hardly hear about coverage like this. West Point grad John Spencer writes, Israel has created a new standard for urban warfare. Why will no one admit it? Major John Spencer is with us now, author of the book, Understanding Urban Warfare. It's good to see you, sir. Thank you. You write that there is this new standard the Israelis have set for urban warfare, and by new standard, you seem to indicate that it's a good one. 70,000 direct phone calls, 13 million text messages, 15 million pre-recorded voicemails giving civilians in Gaza advance warning. Why don't you think we ever hear about that in the coverage of what's happening in Gaza?
Because I think the world has fallen victim to disinformation and not having a reality of what the challenges are in dense urban combat where you have a population that you need to move out of harm's way. It doesn't fit the narrative of the way that this war has been executed against Hamas, who built for 15 years, built themselves underneath every civilian structure in Gaza, every hospital, every school. And for some reason, all the efforts that the IDF took to minimize civilian casualties, evacuating cities, doing localized evacuations, conducting, every step. Nobody wants to they only want to look at the results. They want to look at the images of destruction. They want to do some type of quantitative justification of combatant to civilian ratio, which is, again, not how it works, with irrelevant of the actions of Hamas or the challenges that the IDF have faced in this war of self-defense to eradicate Hamas.
Look, I spent a lot of time in Israel and then in Gaza as well. War is a messy business, as you well know. I think about these pictures. They're not much different than what we saw in Mosul, Iraq. Some of the pictures in Syria as well, in terms of how things have happened. The Israelis do hold themselves to a different standard. You point out they never get credit for it. What I think is interesting also is the vast double standard between what Israel is held to and what Hamas is held to, specifically when it comes to this conversation about quote-unquote war crimes that Israel is always accused of. Unquestionably using a hospital as an operations base, as Hamas did in Al-Shifa hospital, is a war crime. There's no two ways about it. Yet Israel went into Al-Shifa hospital. They could have bombed it. They didn't. They fought. They beat Hamas militants there. And then they brought in CNN journalists. Take a listen to some of the coverage.
We did not see any combatants, even wounded combatants, coming into Shifa hospital. So, all of this is as a result of a conscious decision to destroy what's left of the health system in Gaza.
Is there any way for the Israelis to get a fair shake? And if there's not, isn't it kind of astounding that they continue to play by the rules as if they will?
No, I don't think it's outstanding they're following the rules, because that's what a moral, law-abiding force like the United States, like I did in urban combat, like the IDF do. So they're going to follow the irrelevant of what the world says, even about the Al-Shifa hospital, whereas if people want to play games with numbers, 200 Hamas terrorists dead, 0 civilians. Yes, there are lots of damage that occurred because Hamas was using the hospital as a shield, using the patients as a shield, and the IDF still found a way. So I can't help the outside world's ignorance to what war looks like, or just refusal to take the IDF. We've come to the point where it doesn't matter what the IDF says, but if anybody, Hamas or anybody affiliated with Hamas says something, that's the ground truth.
All right. John, we really appreciate your time. Thank you. Incredible work, both in the study of urban warfare and urban combat, and then your willingness to speak frankly about it is really important. We appreciate it. It's good to see you. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.